Hey guys, welcome to the Salice Rose Show. So today I have a very special guest with me. Go ahead, introduce yourself, girl.
What up, Reverie?
Yes.
Born and raised in Northeast Los Angeles.
Literally best rapper ever. If you guys have not, go check her out. But you guys, I don't know if you're ready, but today we're going to talk about a very, very serious topic, which is abusive relationships. Now we're talking, I guess, more so physical, but basically all kinds of abuse, but more so physical. So trigger warning, if things like this trigger you, you guys please get off. But if you guys are willing to stay and hear our story and try to learn something from us, then I would love to have you here. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do this. So I don't know about you, Rev, but the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear the word, like, I guess abusive in general, is the trauma. You know, like every time I hear that word, I feel like with people on social media, like I talk about it so much where people are like, okay, yeah, whatever. But like, I don't think they understand like the depths of like how bad it was. So for me, what pops up is like the way that I got hit. The minute I hear the word abusive, I'm like, I like remember all, not one, not two, not 10, all the times I like got dragged around and like it triggers something in me. Like what do you think about when someone like just says the word abusive or abusive relationships? Like what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Well, I guess hearing the words abuse and then hearing the words abusive relationship would be a little bit different. Like for me, when I hear somebody say abuse, like that takes me back to my childhood, you know, and I grew up in a household with a lot of violence, a lot of screaming, and a lot of gaslighting. And so I feel like that is what set me up to engage in abusive relationships in my love life or even in my friendships, you know. And
your friendships, how so?
Yeah, like
That's a new one. Oh my God.
yeah, I mean I have fought some of my friends before and you know, that was more like a way of squashing beef, but I'm even talking about like mental and emotional and verbal abuse. You know, I have had friends in the past that were very abusive emotionally and mentally and would gaslight me and try to put me down and give backhanded compliments, you know. And I feel like if you grow up in a household where there is any kind of abuse, your parents are subconsciously setting you up to engage in other abusive relationships.
So how can you guys tell that you are in an abusive relationship? How are you guys able to tell? What was the time when you guys were like, oh my God, I'm actually in an abusive relationship? What was that moment?
You want to go ahead and go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Yeah.
I don't really remember when I realized it was an abusive relationship because the first abusive relationship I got into, I was about 15 or 16. And I don't remember when it clicked in my head, but I do remember the first time when my boyfriend pushed me. We were arguing, and I don't remember what the argument was about. Yeah. But I just remember he pushed me. And he didn't push me that hard, but he pushed me. Yeah. And when he pushed me, I was just like,
taken back.
Fuck? Yeah, I was so taken back. And I was like, I remember I just looked at him and I was like, you just pushed me. And then he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. We don't even need to fight about that. I'm just playing. It doesn't even matter. And I was like, yeah, but you just pushed me. You can't push me like that. Right. He's like, I was just playing. And then I was like, okay.
I don't play like that.
Yeah, no. but I remember that was the first time that had happened to me, like from
at that moment you kind of
I
like
loved, you know, and besides my mom, you know, and then I was like, oh, okay. But then that's when it something kind of clicked in my head. I was like, I don't know about this. This is kind of weird. Yeah. And then that did progress into him hitting me in my head and pushing me more and choking me and even in front of people, you know, and I remember like it was going on and it wasn't like a lot, but it definitely was a few different occasions. And I remember that, again, I thought it was just like, whatever, that's just how love is because my mom always hit me. And also a lot of the people that I know or knew back then, I mean, even know now, because I'm still friends with a lot of them, we're in abusive relationships. So to me, it was just like, oh, he's just hitting me. Oh, he's just choking me. Oh, it's not like he's like choking me till I black out. He's just like a little bit, you know, and
like we try to like normalize like what they're doing to us in that moment, even though we know that we shouldn't. You know what I mean?
And then I just remember that one time he was choking me against the wall. We were at a bus stop, but he wasn't like really choking me, but he was like had me up like that and he was talking to me and blah, blah. And I was like talking shit to him while he was doing it. But I just remember after that, my homegirl that we were with, she was like, hey, I just want you to know I have a knife right here. She's like, because my ex used to beat me. So if this fool fucking tries to do something crazy, like, I got you. And I was like, no, it's not even that serious. Like, we're just playing. We're just playing. Yeah. And then she was like, no, it is that serious. She's like, you'll see. You'll see. You'll see. That's
a good ass friend right there. Good ass friend.
Yeah. And I just remember I was like, in my head, like, what? I was like, I don't know.
Because we're like young and naive. So although we see the bad, we don't want to like believe it or see it because we're like, no, like they love me. You know what I mean? Kind of like our whole like growing up. And I think with me, it's kind of like yours actually. I don't know if everybody's like this, but it all starts with like a push or like a I don't know, like they nudge you or something. With me,
starts slow. It's like a slope.
Exactly.
It's like a slope.
Exactly. So with me, I was already living with this person. We like met one day, got together 2 weeks later, moved in month 1.
Oh, okay. So it was like real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, very quick. So I remember within like a month, we got in like this like really bad fight and I was like trying to leave. So fun fact, this person only hit me when I was trying to leave them. Not when I made her mad, not when I, whatever. Anytime I was trying to leave, which was always, but I could never find the right time to do it, she would like go in. So the first time we got in a fight and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I've always been the type of person to like leave for anything because I don't have time. Bye, goodbye. So I was packing up my stuff to go and I had my one little plastic bag. I literally had nothing to my name at that point. And as I was walking out, I opened the front door. She grabbed my bag. She threw it across the street. She grabbed me by like the back of my shirt like this, tugged me back a little bit, and yanked me on the floor. And she's like, get the fuck out then, bitch. Slammed the door. And I was like,
oh, shit, yeah.
And I stayed on the floor. And I was like sitting there for like a good like 5 seconds. I was like, okay. Right away, I was like, go. This is not it. Yeah. You have your stuff. Get the fuck out. Don't. But again, I was 18. I was so fucking naive. Yeah. So then I got into my car. I left. And then she called me and she was like, I'm so sorry. I love you. Please come back. Let me prove it to you. AKA. But I didn't know what gaslighting was back then. I just thought the bitch was sorry. So I was like, okay. You know?
Yeah.
So that's how mine started. And yeah, kind of like how you were saying, like it literally just gets worse from that to like an actual push. Then they lift. Oh my God, girl. It's a lot. It's really a lot.
Yeah.
So you guys are discussing a lot about like physical abuse, but previous to that, like first physical occurrence or that incident, was there any like verbal abuse, emotional abuse that kind of led up to things getting physical? Because I feel like maybe that could be a very common occurrence because it doesn't just get physical like day one, right? There's kind of like a build up to that. So did you guys experience that?
There was no build up with me. Actually, we had a really, really good friendship in the beginning. And then we just moved in very, very quick. And that was actually our first, not even fight, our first big fight. And everybody, this is the craziest part. To go back on your topic, when I finally told people years later, hey, like I'm getting abused, they're like, by her? She's so nice, bro. You're lying. And I was like, no, like I'm literally getting abused. And this girl was so charming to not only me, but to everybody. Yeah. Where I would forget that she was abusive. Or people around me would be like, no, like she's so cool. What are you talking about? And I'm like, and you feel like you're crazy. So,
and it's also interesting to them because you hid it the whole time.
Yes.
So then all of a sudden when a year later or 2 years later or 5 years later,
like, you
start talking about it, they're like, what? I thought you guys were so good.
Yeah.
But you're keeping everything a secret.
Yeah. And that's how everybody's is.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I don't agree with. Like I hear a lot of times people saying, don't talk about your relationship issues. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell nobody about your business.
No.
But I think if your secrets and your business is so toxic that you can't even confide in anybody about it, I think you really need to question the relationship.
Because now you're being gaslighted to like kind of keep everything just to you guys, which I understand as to, I guess, maybe this is me being hypocritical. Fine, I'll be that. I think in sometimes people want to keep your problems with each other because they're like, I don't want your family to like judge us. Like, let's figure out our own shit, talk to therapists about it, fine. But some people don't mean harm with doing that, you know? But then there's other people that will really treat you like shit behind the 4 fucking walls and be like, what the fuck? You told somebody about it? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, am I like always wrong here? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I think sometimes like what you were saying, like they really just want to keep charming people and lie about who they are and make you look fucking crazy when you finally open up, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's good to definitely open up. Did you ever open up to anybody whenever you were getting abused? Like any friends or family?
You know, when I was in that first physical abusive relationship, I I mean, I don't really remember because I was so little, to be honest with you. But later on in my life, I got into another relationship, and it was very, very abusive. Oof. And it was not physically abusive, but it was arguably worse than me being in a physically abusive relationship.
How so?
Because I feel like, at least for me, you know, if somebody hits me, it's going to bruise or it's going to scar, but when it's gone, it's gone. But I feel like the scars that mental and emotional and verbal abuse leave, those are the ones that people can't see. Yeah. Only you feel them. Yeah. And I feel like it takes years for those to heal, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that relationship that I was in did a lot more damage than my physically abusive relationship. It also was longer. And also, because he wasn't physically hitting me, I didn't really realize how abusive it was until years later, you know? And I realized, like, oh, I've been crying every day for years, you know? And this is crazy. Like, when I saw, I remember somebody shared something about their relationship on Instagram or something. Yeah. And they said, I've been crying every day for 2 years or something like that.
Oh my God. No, fuck that.
And then I was like, I read that and I was like, that's so sad. And then I was like, oh shit, I've been crying every day for 2 years.
Like, that's literally my life.
Yeah. And then I was like, and this was like further into the relationship when it was really starting to end. But again, I feel like because in my household there was so much pain associated with the love, I felt like all relationships would have their problems regardless of who I'm with, and it's gonna have some amount of pain. And because my tolerance for pain was so high because of what I went through as a child, I felt like that was okay. And also the shitty thing, it's like a vicious circle, because if you come from a household where there's a lot of dysfunction going on, as a kid, you're gonna make friends with other friends that also come from toxic households. Because you're gonna relate to them. You just do. That's just how it goes. So when you go to all your best friends' houses, they also have a lot of toxicity in their house. You see all the relationships around you, and they all look like that.
So you think it's right.
So you think it's right. So when you get into an abusive relationship, you think, oh, well, every household is like this because all my friends are like this, you know? And honestly, even just until the last couple years of my life, have I realized, oh shit, my family is so toxic, and
they're
so
fucked up.
And so are my friends' families. My best friends' families so toxic. Because now I've been exposed to households that are not toxic, and now I'm just like, oh shit, not everybody's siblings like talk shit every single sentence. Like, me and my brothers, everything we say is like a jab. Like, oh, with your big ass hoops, with your fucking big ass what is it, Christmas on your nails? You know, like that's how me and my siblings are, like literally every single sentence. And like, now I've been around
That's where the dark humor comes from.
Yes. And now I've been to other people's like family parties. I'm like, oh shit, like nobody talks shit and nobody's like blacked out.
You guys are fucking boring.
I'm like, so
laugh a little bit. Yeah.
I think right now the most popular thing is like the Blueface Christian thing, right? Yeah. So like, I think as we've seen it kind of unfold in our eyes, it's been like a very toxic and just like incrementally toxic every time. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oof. My thoughts on Blueface. How do you say her name? Christian? Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I'm not going to give too much of an opinion on this because I'm not one to like judge relationships, and like, you guys do what you think is best for your relationship. But I do see like a trauma bond where, although like this person is hurting you so fucking bad, you're also like, but I don't want to fucking leave. Like, because the good is so good, but when the bad, it's so bad. And this is why I never tell people, never, what outweighs the good or the bad. No, fuck that. Because when I was getting abused, 99% of it was fucking lit. Oh, we was on vacations all the time, and shit was lit as fuck. Like, shit, we was always moving to, you know, it was lovely. But that 1% got me fucked up, because that 1% was abuse. So never outweigh the good and the bad. How bad is the bad? Is it bad enough where your life is like literally at risk every fucking day? You know what I mean? I mean, what's your take on the whole Blueface and Christian thing?
I feel like they definitely have passion and love, you know, but it's a very toxic and passionate love. And I feel really bad for them. Yeah. I see a lot of myself in them, and I think to myself, when I was engaging in toxic shit like that, how lost I was, how much anxiety I had, how isolated I was, how secretive I was about everything. And their relationship is just like super public, and I feel like, you know, a lot of things happen behind closed doors, but especially when like the whole public is seeing how toxic your relationship is, like, and it doesn't have to be like they're famous, you know, but besides famous people, like if your family is seeing how toxic the relationship is, if your friends are seeing how toxic the relationship is, if your neighbors are banging and knocking on the door and asking if everything's okay, like once it gets like to the public, that's like super red flags. And I just hope that they can get the therapy that they need, and that they can realize that they're better off without each other, you know. And
and there's nothing wrong with therapy. Yeah, exactly. What she was saying, like, there's literally nothing wrong with therapy. Like, whether you're in a relationship or you're single, like, I think there's such like a fucking stigma on like, I don't need a fucking therapist. Like, you ever see someone that needs therapy and you're like, hey, like, have you ever like explored on that? Like, I have a therapist. I have two, bitch. The fuck, and I have a healer. And they're like, fuck you, I don't need a fucking therapist. And I'm like, oh my God, but like, you do. It's okay. Like, there is nothing wrong with getting a therapist. I think getting a therapist like shows how fucking strong you are, because you know that you have things to work on. You see the good, you see the bad, and you see that you need to fix it. So whoever is thinking about getting a therapist, please don't feel stupid about it. Like, it is okay to seek the help that you deserve, not that you need, that you deserve. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and also they're so loaded. They have so much money. Like, why not go to therapy together? I know they have a lot of love. They just need some coaching, you know?
Some coaching.
A lot of coaching. But if they're still going to be together, might as well do it the right way.
Make it work then. The right way. Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the kind of public sentiment that you see in like the comments originally, it was like, oh, like Krishan's in like a bad place. And like, but like the more of that comes out about like their relationship, I feel like there's almost like a swing in public opinion. Like, I read a comment the other day that was like, man, I'm starting to really feel sorry for Blueface, right? Because there's some clips where he's just kind of quiet and she's like in his face and she's kind of just like smacking him around.
Yeah.
And in that, I wanted to follow up with a question is, do you think that abuse towards men is minimized compared to like an abuse towards women?
Yes. What do you think?
I would say yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I would say that I've seen it a lot of times where a woman is swinging at a man, and then he tries to hold her down, tries to push her back, but the moment the man smacks her to
his
make
game
her stop,
fucking over.
Yeah. Oh, he's an abuser. Oh, he's this and that and blah blah. It's just like there's a lot of fucked up people who need serious help and who take out their problems on other people.
It's almost like that quote that says, abusers never change their actions, they change their victims.
Yeah.
Right? So if I go hit up all of my exes, the one that hit me, I know a good 4 names, I'm not going to say at the top of my head, that they've all been abused as well. So you're not changing your behavior, motherfucker. You're changing your victim because you don't want to change. You think this is okay. So some people don't want to change. And that's also why I had to leave, because I was tired of trying to save something that I didn't break. I can't save you because, one, you don't want to be saved. Two, you broke it the minute you like put hands on me, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of like empathetic people kind of get fucked over, is like, oh, I can save him. I can save her. Oh yeah. Okay. You probably, but then you lose yourself in the process while doing that shit too. Is it really worth it?
Yeah.
You think it's worth it?
It's never worth it. And honestly, I don't think you can save someone.
Exactly.
I don't think you can.
Because if they don't want to change, they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a
nice thought, but it's not real.
It's a nice thought.
Yeah.
So why do you think people stay in abusive relationships? Like, I mean, maybe from personal experience, you might be able to answer that question. Not to paint like a broad stroke.
No, yeah. You want to answer first? I'm gonna go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I stayed in these abusive relationships because that's just what I was modeled as a child. Like I said, my mother was very physically abusive, and there was a lot of yelling and emotional abuse and gaslighting and you know, so I just feel like I thought that was normal. Yeah. So that's why when my partners were doing that to me, I didn't see that it was something that I should leave over, you know, because I did know it was wrong. Yeah. I did know from the beginning, but I told myself, this is just how love is. This is how love has always been. And also my dad left when I was 4. My parents got divorced. So I have like a lot of abandonment issues because of that. And so that's also been something that I have had to realize over the last few years. Like, it's hard for me to leave somebody once I become connected to them, because I don't like the feeling of someone exiting my life that I care about, whether it's their choice or my choice. I have a hard time letting go of people, and I give people too many chances. And this isn't even just in romance. This is also with friends, in life, business partners, even with other family members.
You want to believe that they can just change.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And so it's like, that's like the model that my parents set up for me, not on purpose. You know, they did the best they could, and I love them. I've forgiven them and have good relationships with them now. But that's what I think for me. And I would say that's the case with everybody who stays in an abusive relationship.
I think with me, the reason why I stayed so long is because, like what I mentioned earlier, like when it was good, it was so good. Like we got along so fucking well. We were like best friends. It was like this person made me like smile and laugh. Crazy how the person that can hurt you the most can also make you the happiest. And I just wasn't willing to leave because I was good. And I've already like gotten hit, whatever. Like it's cool. Like it is what it is. Like I'd rather sit here and tolerate this than tolerate, I guess, losing you. You know what I mean? So not only just that, but I think I'll end it with, no one ever talks about how dangerous it is to leave a toxic relationship, or I'm sorry, an abusive one, because again, every time I got hit, it was because I was trying to leave her. This is why I always tell people, if you see a red flag right off the bat, it's okay to leave. It's okay to leave off the first red flag, because you don't want to sit there and like take a chance on your life and be like, I know he's like bad news or she's bad news, but like, fuck it, they're hot. Bitch, like, do better. You know, learn from us. Like, we've been through it all, like in different ways, of course, but like, you deserve so much better, and you will never find better the longer you stay there. You will never find that person that is willing to do everything for you if you keep on hanging on to that fucking trauma bond. You know what I mean? So,
okay, so we're gonna cite the Women's Rural Resource Center. These are the abuse and manipulation tactics. So we're talking about red flags. So if you feel
like you're in a very abusive relationship, or you're trying to find out if you are, look out for these.
Gaslighting, isolation, overprotection, like refusing to letting you go anywhere, blaming others, separation abuse. This could include stalking, manipulation of social systems, emotional manipulation, being on a roller coaster with him or her, threats, making threats towards you or your family, friends, or pets.
Oof. Oh my God, yes.
Financial abuse, making sure you have zero control or access to the finances. Cyber abuse and cyber stalking. That's interesting, yeah. So those are the bullet points, and they all go into details, but...
Now, this could be considered like whether it's like any kind of abuse like that, but if you're like in a relationship and you wanted to kind of like needed some like key points, like those are some red flags to look out for, because not every abusive relationship is like necessarily physical. Some is like verbal, like how you were saying earlier. I was in another relationship that like literally hurt me more than my abusive one. And this is like such a fucking like tough thing for people to believe. Like, how could someone that didn't even hit you hurt more than your abusive one? Because what you were saying earlier, mental shit is so much more painful. I'm not gonna say what happened, but this person that I was with for like not even a year at that, I literally, and I talked about this on my recent podcast, I literally ended up in a fucking hospital, and I was requesting, they denied me. I was requesting to go to a mental like hospital, because I was like, wait, like I'm like, I want to like hurt myself. Like I don't want to be alone. And it was such a long night that night. My family drove out from San Diego, and it was such a dark time for me. And this person never touched me once. So words can hurt. Words can hurt really, 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 really fucking bad. Or even actions that aren't physical can hurt so bad. Until this day, like I'm good now, but like I get triggered randomly, and I'm like I didn't deserve that. You know, you ever go through some shit that you're like I'm over it, I forgave you, but like I didn't deserve that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like it hurts, like thinking like I forgive you, like you're a terrible person for doing what the fuck you did, and that's your karma. You made your fucking bed, so you better fucking lay in it. But I still didn't deserve that. And that's when I realized, like, just because I'm a good person, not perfect, I can't expect everybody else to be like that. And that's when my sister opened my eyes. She was like, sometimes you have to see that people like don't have any good in them. You know, we're always trying to find the best in people, but sometimes there's like none. And when you care about people, that's hard to do because like I think you're like that. You want to see the best in everybody, but sometimes like what good is there?
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely fucking nothing. And that was my problem. So yeah, there's so many signs of abusive relationships that even aren't considered as physical, but they tend to actually hurt way more than physical at times. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's like
painful.
somebody can have so much control over your mental health and your well-being, and it's not like it's a conscious decision that you're letting somebody do that to you. And not to even say like you're letting them take control, because I don't want to say like I'm not taking responsibility because I did, and that's why I left the situation. But I feel like you don't really realize it's happening, you know, and then one day something happens where you start thinking, wait a minute, I think this is not right, you know, and it might take years to leave. It took me years and years to leave. And yeah, I still have for sure trauma from that. Oh, yeah. And I feel like it's hard for a lot of people to get over. And I mean, it takes a lifetime. It takes a lot of therapy. It takes a lot of education about psychology and abusive relationships, and a lot of forgiveness, especially to yourself. God, you know, I had to really forgive myself, because I feel like you can't keep blaming everything on everybody else, because then you're giving everybody the control of your life. You know, you have to eventually say, you know what, I got myself into this rut, and I'm never going to allow myself to do that to myself again, because if you don't take responsibility, you're just going to end up right back there.
Yeah. That's such a good fucking point. Such a good point. I love that.
The isolation point that you had on that list actually, like, I think strikes a chord, because a lot of the time, like, I'll give you this example, right? As a man, sometimes like I've been in abusive relationships where, for example, like she's tried to isolate me from my friends, from my family, right? So a lot of it's like, oh, why are you going out with your friends? You don't love me? Oh, you love your friends more? Yeah. Like you really want to go spend time with them? No, you can't go out. No, you have to stay here. And a lot of the times we're just like, oh, like, you know, she might just be insecure. She really just like has like, you know, a concern of me going out. But like, how do you distinguish insecurity like that versus like actual physical abuse? Like, have you guys ever been in that situation?
You mean emotional abuse?
Yeah. Like literally them trying to isolate you from like your loved ones.
I would say for me, that's like, I mean, there's going to be a pattern, you know? It's like, if the person I'm with once every 6 months or whatever, once every 6 months, maybe max, maybe once every 3 months, says, hey, can you not go out tonight? I mean, first of all, I don't go out a lot, but let's say back when I was in my 20s, okay? Early 20s. If I was going to go out, and then if my boyfriend said, hey, you know what? I'm really having a hard time tonight. My aunt just died, and I would really appreciate it if you stayed home with me tonight and we could just spend some time. I need somebody to talk to.
Communication.
You know, And I said, okay, yeah, of course. Like, I got you. I of course, I'm here for you. But then if he says that again next weekend, and again next weekend, and again next weekend, and again next weekend, that's when you gotta think like, okay, maybe this is not.
That's what you call gaslighting, right there.
Yes, and manipulation. So it's like, if it's once in a while, then okay, yeah, of course, I'm gonna be there for you.
Wait, so I have a question for you. What do you think is too much for going out? For example, like if you're with someone, like whatever gender, and they're like, what if the person that you're with likes to go clubbing every weekend? Is that okay to you?
I personally would never get in a relationship or date, even consider seeing someone that goes to the club every weekend.
How come?
Because number one, I don't like going to the club. Number two, I feel like people that go to the clubs are very superficial. At the club, you can't even have a conversation with anybody. It's just about getting drunk, showing off your Louis Vuitton belt, giving shots to girls, to groupie hoes who just want to put it on my mouth, you know. There's no conversations. Yeah, it's very shallow. It's very shallow. And to me, I am a very deep person, and I don't value those things. So for me, it would be like, oh, we're not going to connect because you value these other things, which is nothing wrong with that. That's a lot of people's lives, you know, but that's not who I like. And even for like my friendships either, like I'm not friends with people like that, because that's just not what I value.
But her saying this right now on camera is actually such a good thing, because you need to keep it real with someone that you date. Like, day one, this is what I'm into. That's what the fuck I do. This is what the fuck I'm not into. This is what I do. This is what I refuse to do. That way, day one, everything is like on the table. What do we do now? Versus like, you're like, oh yeah, I'm okay with you clubbing. It's fine. And then month 7, you're like, fuck, man, like, I hate when you club. I've always hated it. It's like, wait. You should have said that day one. Like, communicate what you want day one, what you're into, what you don't like. And don't pretend to be something that you're not just to want to be with that person. Just be yourself, and the right one will come along in time. You don't have to switch up even if you like to go clubbing every weekend, like, that's great. But make sure, like, if you want to be with someone, they do those things too, or they value those things, or they respect that, because everybody is different. But you can't also change someone else to better fit your life either, you know? Yeah. And there is positive changes, like you can help your partner change for the better, yeah, but you also never want to fully change someone and like mask them to like be your perfect person. Like, sometimes you just gotta let them go. Yeah. And like that quote, if you really love someone, set them free, and you'll find your other person in that time. And versus breaking your fucking back in half trying to like change someone to benefit you, but what about them? Even if going to the club is tacky to you, like, that's great, but like, they're now not happy. You took away their source of happiness. And whether it's silly to you or not, like, you want to make sure that, you just communicate. Like what you were saying, like, I'm not into it, or I am. And if this is going to ruin us, fine. I was honest. Goodbye. Next. That's just the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's my take on that one.
And that has happened to me. That situation where with my ex, who was super abusive, not physically, but I would sometimes want to go out with my friends, and he would always make a big fight. And it wasn't about, oh, my aunt died, I need some comfort tonight. It was just like, I don't even remember what he would do or how he would do it. I just remember that he didn't want me to go out ever. He never wanted me to go out. Yeah. And it's not like he said, you can't go. But it's that he made the situation so bad that I would rather not go out than deal with him not talking to me for 3 days, you know, and ignoring me and giving me the silent treatment.
That's
and
so
calling
fucking
me a
toxic.
fucking hoe.
Yeah.
Oh, you fucking hoe, out with your friends and blah, blah, or whatever he would say, you know, and do.
Did he ever cheat on you, this guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because everything you're saying right now, I'm like, this is what we like to call, let's put stars here, projection. They end up blaming you for things that they're doing, and they're not going to be like, well, I'm secretly cheating on you, babe. So, no, they're going to be like, I'm guilty and I can't ignore my conscience. So, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to bully you. You're cheating, huh? Yeah. You're doing that. Let me see your phone, bitch. Come on, let me see. That is what we call projection whenever they make you feel like you're always doing something wrong because they're doing something wrong 24/7. They're not going to say that to your face. Yeah. Instead, they're going to blame you for what they're doing. And it be working sometimes, which is the saddest part of it all.
Yeah. Sad, for sure.
What was the hardest part about transitioning into a healthy relationship after you exited an abusive one?
Still working on it. I will say I'm still working on it now. Like, I was never the abuser or whatever, but I am currently right now in the most healthiest relationship I've ever been in my entire life. And sometimes I wake up and I'm like, nah, what's she gonna do? This ain't it. Like, my traumatized ass, I'm like, what's gonna happen in 4 years, huh? No, I don't trust you. Fuck you. So now it's like, when you're in your first healthy relationship after the toxic ones, like, nobody ever talks about how hard it is, because now, although I'm not going to physically abuse you, I learned some toxic traits myself, whether it's jealousy, whether it's, I could be manipulative. Yes, I'll say that shit on camera. I can be manipulative as fuck sometimes. Yes. I'm like hypocritical sometimes. I'm all these things, but I'm also a lot of really, really, really good things. So when you're with someone that loves you so purely, you like almost want to change for them. You're like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like I want to do better for you? Like, it's almost like, what is this sorcery type shit? You know what I mean? So it's definitely a lot of like learning and patience from the other person, which I respect a lot. But yeah, you almost feel like you're unworthy of love when you're finally loved correctly. But you also feel like damn, like I was settling this entire time when I could have had this if I left that sooner. You know what I mean? So it's just all about unlearning toxic traits and how you were saying, forgive yourself and forgive the other person without an apology, because they don't apologize, and just letting go, letting God, moving on, and just go find the love that you deserve. Not that you want, that you deserve. The way you would want your daughter to be loved. You know what I mean?
The way you want your daughter to be.
Yeah, that's nice. My take on that. Have you ever gotten to like a very healthy relationship after like being like hella toxic ones? You're like, what the fuck is this shit? This is boring as fuck. That's also one thing. We confuse boredom and to healthy. That's a different, we can do a whole podcast episode on that, you guys. But like when I first got with this girl, I'm like, yo, she is so boring. Spice it up. And then I'm like, later down the line, I'm like, oh, this is healthy. This is what you call healthy? This is what y'all kids be doing? Okay. It changes things. So that's a different conversation. Like, were you ever with someone you're like, wait, is this like healthy? Am I bored? Do I even deserve this kind of love? Like, how did you feel in that moment when you realized like you were talking to someone that like actually valued you as a person?
I feel like, well, to be honest, I've been single for almost 5 years.
Must be nice.
After that, crazy relationship I was in, I was just like so traumatized from that. And also, I isolate myself a lot. I don't really date a lot because I'm just, I guess I'm just traumatized by what happened. And it's hard for me to trust people. And also like, you know, like being in the limelight, it's very different. Dating is very, very different. There's a lot of other dating, no matter what, for everybody is very difficult. But when you're in the limelight, you have to worry about different things that most people don't have to worry about. And so that also shuts a lot of doors, you know, and also brings up a lot of paranoias and a
lot of anxiety.
A lot of anxiety. And you know what? I feel like it's just like I'm it's just really hard for me to connect with people and when I have dated, I find myself that I push people away like when it's getting like a little deep, you know? And
because you're like, I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't want to get hurt and like, oh, I'm gonna leave the situation before the situation leaves me or before I invest too much or I've also found myself being attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable, you know, and that's like another thing. Like a lot of people who are emotionally unavailable are attracted to other emotionally unavailable people. Yeah. But then it's like eventually one person is going to catch more feelings than the other. And then either you've fucked yourself or they have fucked themselves and then it doesn't work out. And I feel like that's, all of those things, So to be honest, I have not been in a healthy relationship, a healthy committed relationship in my whole life.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a fucking journey for sure. And it's going to require a lot of patience from like both of you guys, of course, because you have to be patient with them, vice versa. But yeah, it's a really, really hard transition. And you're almost like a little bit mad at yourself. Like, damn, I could have had this whole time. And now I'm just like, it's just really, really crazy. But yeah, you're never going to find the person that is going to value you the longer you stay with a person that like treats you like shit and doesn't value you as a person in any of these things, you know? So it's okay to just go sometimes. Even if that means starting over, it's okay to walk away. You know
and
what
also,
I mean?
I wanted to also say that like the people that I have dated after my ex were not abusive. You know, it's not like they were abusive. It's just that one party or the other is not ready for a commitment or for whatever it is. And, but also I'm not unattracted to like when something is like quote unquote healthy either, you know, like when things are smooth and there's no toxicity. Like I like that. I'm not like, I don't need like a lot of crazy things going on in the relationship, you know, even if I'm just dating somebody, like I'm not into that. Like if I see somebody like showing a bunch of crazy toxic red flags, like I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good on that. Like I'll cut that right away.
You have to protect your peace at all costs.
Yeah, but then it's just like it's still like the problem of the emotional unavailability from either me or the person, you know?
Yeah, totally feel that one. Yeah, definitely protect your fucking peace, because if not, ain't nobody gonna protect your peace the way you can. I'll say that nobody will ever care about your peace or your mental health more than you. They'll care about you. Yeah, I have people who care about me, of course, but it's all up to me. Like it's all me. Like I have to make sure I walk away from things that aren't serving me in the way that I'm serving them. You know what I mean? So it's okay to start over, you know? So I would say it is very important to like take time to heal. And that's something that I never wanted to do, because one thing about me is that I can be alone physically. I don't have to see anybody for 2 years and I'd be dandy as fuck. But emotionally, I always need to be talking to someone and texting someone and getting that attention and giving that attention and like, oh my God, like let's flirt, fuck yeah, because I don't know how to be like alone mentally. So I've realized that a lot, especially lately. I've realized that. So there is nothing wrong with taking time for yourself to just like heal, give yourself time. And again, healing is ugly, but it's so beautiful. It's like such an ugly process. Not like all like, oh, rainbows, we're gonna go write a fucking poem and do hot yoga and shit. No, healing is so fucking painful, but you need to give yourself that time to like really, really be patient with yourself and be kind with yourself, because after getting abused, whether it's physically, verbally, whatever, you tend to really, you fucking hate yourself. And that's what happened to me. I'm like, to this day, a little bit, not as much, but like the queen of self-sabotage. I can look at everybody and I'm like, I can name 1,000 reasons why I'm proud of every single one of you. And with me, I'm like, you could be doing better. Yeah. So make sure that you take time to like pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, it's okay. Like everything is okay. You're okay now. You're okay where you are. You're firm here. Everything is okay. And don't start treating yourself the way that the abuser has treated you, because you deserve so much more than that. You deserve reassurance. You're so deserving of love. You're deserving of the love that you provide. You're so deserving of the things that you've been giving to people but have never received back yourself. And it's all about being patient, because one thing about healing, it never ends. So if you're trying to heal right now, you're like, I can't wait to be great, but you're still going to be healing, because things will always occur in your life where it's going to need you to heal. So be like patient with yourself. Don't hate who you've become. You know, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that they hurt you, but it is your responsibility to heal you. You know what I mean? How, like, what's your take on the whole healing? Or what do you recommend people? How can people heal from bad relationships?
I think it's important to take time after you have stopped dating somebody or talking to somebody that you really cared about. I don't think it's good to jump to relationship, because then, like you said, you don't learn how to sit with yourself. You know, you don't learn how to love yourself. So definitely take some time, and after every relationship or whatever, dating is going to be a little bit different, because some are longer than others, some are more intense than others.
Yeah.
But I also will say that you don't want to completely cut yourself off from dating at all, you know? And I do take a lot of time in between like people that I date, because I'm just like, I need that time to heal. I need that time to recuperate. I don't like taking my issues onto like the next person.
There you go.
Also, like I really enjoy myself. I enjoy being alone. And but I also will say that that can also be a form of self-sabotage, you know, because sometimes if you isolate yourself too much, you end up not dating anybody at all.
Damn,
you know?
That's so true.
Yeah, and then so I also have to remind myself of that sometimes. You know, I'm like, oh, this person wants to go out with me, or this person's been flirting with me, and then I find myself like, how come I'm just like I think they're cool, you know? How come I'm not like reciprocating? I'm like, oh, because I'm scared of getting hurt again. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to do this again. And I'm like, okay, well, but I'm never gonna be able to find to have a family, you know, and get married if I am not willing to take those risks. And I feel like I'm sure all of us have seen friends or family members who are single for forever. And not only are they single, but they never go on dates in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years and whatever. And you don't want to isolate yourself so much and work on your self-help journey to the point that it's just you.
Wow.
Either.
That's so
true. You know? And I feel like that's really important. So you got to have like the boundaries with yourself. Yeah. To take those chances again. You got to make sure that when you're healing, you got to focus on rebuilding, not just isolating yourself, because that's important.
Wow. Yeah, that's something that we should have covered. We'll do it in the next episode. But yeah, there's like a meme, maybe to end it on like a light note. There is a meme that says, have you ever like protected your peace so much that now you just fucking hate people? LOL. And then those people like just stay home all the time and like fucking just chill. And I'm like, dude, like literally, well, low key me, not really. But yeah, it's kind of protect your peace, but not so much where you're like, okay, fuck everybody. Because at the end of the day, my favorite quote ever, like Bob Marley said, truth is everybody will hurt you. You just have to find the ones that are worth hurting for. Now, with that being said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Reverie, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Girl, anytime. And sharing your fucking story as well. Thank you guys for being here. And I hope that listening to us helped you guys in any way, shape, or form. And if not helped you, well, entertained you. And if not entertained you, then I hope you come back for the next one and whatever the case may be. But we love you guys so much. Thank you for watching the Salice Rose Show. And we're rooting for you. We love you. And don't be afraid to start over. It's okay. Love you guys. Also, a quick little PSA, if you feel like you're being abused or you just want to seek help and talk to somebody, I'll tell you this. I've used this number myself a few times a few years ago. So it's called the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It is 800-799-7233. Don't be scared to reach out for help. You are not stupid for reaching out for help. You are not a burden. You are not weak. You are human. And you're allowed to feel these things. So help is always available for you. And don't feel dumb because I've called myself. So just seek the help that you deserve, not that you need. Love you.